For our 7th wedding anniversary, I took our son to my husband's office to wait for him to get off work so we could celebrate. As we reached the office door, I heard a woman's voice coming from inside. "Honey, you go home first. It's my wedding anniversary today. And I have to go back. Otherwise, she'll get suspicious. Lin Wanyu is just an orphan and a housewife. What are you afraid of?" Gu Jinglin didn't speak, but the sound of the cup being placed down heavily came through the slightly ajar door. Su Qingqian immediately began to whine. "Jinglin, my stomach hurts. I really want you to keep me company." Gu Jinglin's voice immediately became doting. "Of course I'm not afraid of her. She has no job and is raising a child. Even if I tell her to get out, she won't." Gu Jinglin then snorted coldly. "But Hanyu can't know that I've let his mother down. Once I'm sure I can get custody of Hanyu, they'll get a divorce. Honey, you go back first. They'll come find you tonight. They'll make it up to you." The scene before my eyes was like a bolt from the blue. I covered my son's mouth to keep him from making a sound, then turned and led him away secretly. Back home, I called my college best friend and asked her to recommend a nanny. "Wanyu, I've been telling you to get a nanny for ages. Look at you. You've worn yourself out. They'll have my Aunt Wang introduce you to someone reliable," I said to my best friend in a hoarse voice. "Ching ching. Jinglin is having an affair." There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. How could that be? Is it a misunderstanding? If even Gu Jinglin is cheating, I really won't believe in love anymore. Ching ching. I saw it with my own eyes. Ching ching. He's coming back soon. Can you help me find a nanny first? They'll come see you tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Gu Jinglin returned home. "Honey, happy 7-year anniversary. I booked your favorite restaurant." Gu Jinglin hugged me and kissed my forehead, very gently. "As always, I'll go get Hanyu." I hurried away, resisting the urge to push Gu Jinglin away. At the dinner table, Hanyu wasn't jumping around excitedly as usual, and I responded with indifference. But Gu Jinglin didn't seem to notice. In his eyes, this family was still harmonious and beautiful. He took out a gift, a pink crystal bracelet in a box. I tossed it into my bag. "You don't have to buy me gifts. It didn't cost much, because I didn't want him to ruin his health, and also because I wanted us to save enough money to retire early." I always objected to him buying me expensive gifts. Later on, the gifts he bought me rarely exceeded 1,000 yuan. By the way, I'm thinking of hiring a nanny. I feel like my health has been deteriorating these past 2 years. I needed to discuss it with him. He gave me the household expenses on a monthly basis, saying that the company was still developing and needed funds, so I had to make do for the time being. "No problem. They'll transfer an extra 10,000 yuan to you each month." Gu Jinglin looked down at his phone. "Honey, I'm sorry. I have to go to work overtime later." Gu Jinglin has been working overtime until very late every day for more than 6 years. When I was pregnant, my pregnancy was unstable and I had bleeding twice, so I went home to rest. At that time, the company was just getting on track. It was indeed very busy at that time, and Gu Jinglin would come back after 11 o'clock every day, and I always made it a habit to wait for him to come home before going to sleep. Later, in countless nights of me waiting for him, he was having an affair with Su Qingqian. "I can't go home with you and our son. You guys take a taxi back." I abandoned my usual understanding nature, stared at him, and felt nothing inside. "Honey, you haven't spent time with us in a long time. Can't you even spend the anniversary with me and our child?" His son also went over and clung to Gu Jinglin's neck. "Dad, you haven't played with me in a long time." Gu Jinglin had just hugged his son when his phone suddenly lit up, and a message popped up on the screen. "You wouldn't not come to see me just because Wanyu won't let you, would you?" The tenderness in Gu Jinglin's eyes disappeared. He pushed his son away. "Wanyu, you should be grateful, not complaining." It's me who ensures you and our son have food and clothing. You should also make our son understand this. But I said I wanted to go back to the company. And you refused to let me. My son was born prematurely and wasn't very healthy. He got much better when he was 5. So I suggested going back to work. My husband refused, saying he was worried I'd be too tired. But now I realize the real reason was that he was afraid I'd discover his affair with Su Qingqian. You're just a housewife. What do you even know? Gu Jinglin said dismissively. Wasn't the core of the company's software written by me? I founded the company with Gu Jinglin. I wrote the core programs. And I landed the biggest clients. That was then. This is now. Back then. You were an outstanding graduate of Jinghua University. But now you're just a full-time housewife I've been supporting for 6 years. You should be content. Gu Jinglin walked out of the restaurant without looking back. I didn't stop him. Picked up my phone and replied to a WeChat message. President Fu. I will be there. See you the day after tomorrow. Back home. I opened Su Qingqian's WeChat moments. A huge jeweled bracelet with the caption. A compensation from my husband. I forgive you. I chuckled inwardly, realizing that the money I had saved was being spent by someone else. I couldn't bear for him to spend money on gifts for me. Yet he didn't bat an eye when buying things for others. We started from scratch. And when Han Yu was born, our family's financial situation wasn't good. I couldn't even bring myself to hire a nanny during my postpartum period. Our son was born prematurely and was difficult to care for. And I've been doing everything myself since his birth. He used to feel sorry for my weak body. And even though he was so busy with work, he always let me go to sleep after feeding the baby at night. Taking care of burping and lulling him to sleep himself. I can't understand how he could have changed his heart. I really want to ask him why he's treating me like this. And I want to file for divorce right away. But I can't. Gu Jinglin is right. I'm just a housewife. I have no income. And if I file for divorce now, I won't get custody of my son. It's been 6 years since I left the company. And I have no idea how much assets the company has now. At 12 o'clock at night, I finally heard the sound of the door being opened. Gu Jinglin did come back. But he didn't go into the master bedroom, instead going straight into the study. When I woke up in the morning, he was already gone. My best friend was very efficient. She had just dropped her son off at kindergarten and returned home when she brought the nanny over for an interview. After arranging the nanny's work, we set off for the law firm. On the way, my best friend was still lamenting that among our classmates, Gu Jinglin was the one she thought least likely to cheat. After meeting my best friend's childhood friend, lawyer Chen, I had a better understanding of the situation. I not only need to understand the company's assets but also try to get evidence of Gu Jinglin's affair. Although I'm very unwilling, I think I still have to go to the company. My best friend wanted to support me. But I refused. Not only can she not support me now, but she also has to temporarily hide the fact that I already know about Gu Jinglin's affair. Su Qingqian was startled to see me, but her face quickly broke into a smile. Sister Wan Yu, what brings you here? Seeing Su Qingqian, I still couldn't control my temper. What? Do I need your permission to come to my own company? Su Qingqian smiled contemptuously. Wasn't Wan Yu already gone from the company? And you're not a shareholder either, are you? The fox's tail is finally showing. Or am I blind? Su Qingqian was my assistant for half a year, and I never noticed. I looked directly into her eyes, seeing not a trace of fear. You probably don't even know what marital property is. I went straight into Gu Jinglin's office without looking back. What are you doing at the company? Gu Jinglin was also unhappy with my appearance at the company. I've been reflecting on what you said yesterday. I feel guilty being supported by you at home. I'm planning to come back to work and share your burden. Don't go looking for trouble. You know I don't mind supporting you. What are you being so dramatic about? Su Qingqian quickly followed. Wan Yu, your tea. I stared at the green tea in her hand. My stomach isn't good. I never drink green tea. Don't you know that? Su Qingqian immediately looked aggrieved. President Gu, I was just being kind. Pouring tea for my sister. Gu Jinglin immediately defended Su Qingqian. Wan Yu, just say what you want to drink. Why be so aggressive? Besides, wasn't Qingqian hired by you in the first place? You were the one who told me to take extra care of her. Why are you making things difficult for her now? I sneered. So you do remember that I hired her. She's been my assistant for half a year. How could she not know that I never drink green tea? Back then, Su Qingqian didn't meet the company's hiring requirements. When she was turned down and walked out, she had tears in her eyes, which I happened to see. Learning that she was also an orphan, I felt a pang of sympathy. I taught her everything from scratch. What a heartless wretch. I can't believe she and Gu Jinglin are in cahoots. Sister Wan Yu, I really didn't mean to, Su Qingqian said, looking at Gu Jinglin with a pitiful expression, tears welling up in her eyes on cue. So she's used to this. I'm only realizing it now. All right, Lin Wan Yu, where's your composure? Aren't you afraid of being laughed at by the company employees? I let out a cold laugh, catching Su Qingqian's slightly upturned lips in the corner of my eye. Go back. You haven't been involved in company business for so long. What can you do? You've probably forgotten how to write code. Perhaps realizing his tone was off, Gu Jinglin added a sentence. You just need to take good care of Han Yu at home. I can handle things at the company. Sister Wan Yu, President Gu is just looking out for you. I'm so envious. Don't worry. He'll take good care of President Gu and make sure he doesn't overwork himself. Su Qingqian's tone was unsettling. But only Gu Jinglin, blind and oblivious, couldn't hear it. I didn't say anything more, turning and walking out of the office. Just as I was about to head downstairs, the driver approached. Madam, Mr. Gu asked me to drive you home. No need. I'll drive myself. Stepping outside, I took out my Bluetooth headset and opened the app on my phone. Jinglin, Wan Yu is bullying me. I don't want to be pushed around like this anymore. You've been wronged, but I'm with you every night. You should be content with that. But you always leave before midnight. I want you to be with me always, forever, and not go to her. Su Qingqian, you're crossing the line. I have a son. I've told you, I can't divorce her. I can give you anything but marriage. Get out, Jinglin. Don't be angry. I just love you too much. I won't mention it again. After a moment of silence, the sound of something falling to the ground came from the phone, followed by unbearable noises. I took off my headphones, unwilling to listen anymore, and sent the entire recording to Lawyer Chen. I can't get into the company, and the finance person I hired when I was in the company has long been replaced by Gu Jinglin. So it's difficult for me to understand the company's assets. Remembering that I had to attend the Xingshi Group's annual meeting the next day, I went to the mall to buy a dress and get a facial. When I arrived at the Xingshi Group's annual meeting, Su Qingqian was on Gu Jinglin's arm. Toasting everywhere, the two were dressed in matching outfits. Enjoying the flattery of the crowd, President Gu is young and promising. President Fu has repeatedly praised your company's core technology for being outstanding in the industry and the system for being stable. Mrs. Gu is a perfect match for you. Su Qingqian didn't explain. Basking in the compliments. Seeing me appear, President Fu quickly came to greet me. President Lin, you are really too difficult to invite. Gu Jinglin finally saw me. He grabbed my hand and questioned in a low voice. What are you doing here? Seeing me look at Su Qingqian, he then explained. In this setting, it's not appropriate for me to steal the spotlight. So I didn't elaborate much on Qingqian's identity. I ignored the two of them and thanked President Fu for the invitation. Xingshi Group is a listed company and also the company's largest client. a deal I negotiated with my team back in the day. I only learned a few days ago that President Fu had repeatedly proposed to Gu Jinglin the idea of collaborating with our company to develop an AI software, on the condition that I personally lead the project. But Gu Jinglin refused multiple times with various reasons. Gu Jinglin, along with the company's project manager, presented the initial results to Xingshi Group multiple times. But Xingshi Group was not satisfied. President Fu had no choice but to contact me directly. Gu Jinglin doesn't agree with me joining the company. Perhaps President Fu's opinion can change his mind, but I didn't expect Gu Jinglin to disregard the possibility of offending President Fu and losing a major client, and openly slander and belittle me on the spot. President Fu. Lin Wanyu hasn't worked on a project in 6 years. All she's done for the past 6 years is raise kids and revolve around me. She's just a housewife now. You're investing 100 million in this project, and I wouldn't dare to joke around with your investment. If you're still not satisfied, I can hire someone else. Mr. Fu looked at me, his expression troubled. He probably didn't expect Gu Jinglin to publicly undermine me like that. At that moment, whispers began to spread through the crowd. So this is the real Mrs. Gu. A housewife is worthy of attending the Grand Era Group's banquet. No wonder President Gu didn't deny that the beautiful woman next to him was his wife. If I were him, I wouldn't want to bring a wife who only knows how to take care of kids to the annual meeting either. Ignoring my embarrassment, Gu Jinglin said in front of President Fu. Don't joke with President Fu. You can't afford this joke. Go back first. I knew I couldn't prove that I still had the ability to develop software. Even my own husband looked down on me. No matter how much I said, it was useless. I apologized to President Fu. I'm sorry. President Fu, I apologize for affecting your company's annual meeting. I wish your company a successful annual meeting. I'll leave first. Gu Jinglin seemed to want to leave with me, but Su Qingqian stopped him. In the many days following the Xingshi Group's annual meeting, Gu Jinglin came home much earlier, sometimes even playing with building blocks with his son, but lipstick stains began to appear on his clothes, and there were also kiss marks on his body. I pretended not to notice. The time wasn't right yet. Unable to return to my company for work, I need to figure out how to make money first. With a nanny, I have a lot of time to do things every day. I wrote an AI mini program that uses AI to create funny videos, and I've gained a lot of fans. In just 1 month, I gained a staggering 1 million followers across the entire network. Some brands approached me, and I started making a profit. On Father's Day, Gu Jinglin accompanied his son to kindergarten to participate in a parent-child activity. On the way back, his son pulled a piece of underwear from under the cushion in the back seat. Mommy, look what this is. Gu Jinglin saw it in the rearview mirror and immediately slammed on the brakes. Honey, I'll explain when we get home. I silently took it from my son and threw it out the window. Han Yu. This is trash. Just throw it away. My reaction seemed too calm, and Gu Jinglin's expression showed some dissatisfaction. Back home, I asked the nanny to take my son to the children's room. Gu Jinglin embraced me with a face full of affection. Wife, I know I made a mistake, but I really love you. I hope you can forgive me. I pushed him away. Let's get divorced. Gu Jinglin seemed not to have expected me to bring up divorce. Upon hearing it, his expression changed immediately. Lin Wanyu, I only made a mistake because I was drunk. I didn't do it on purpose. I love you so much. What exactly are you trying to pull? How will you live without me? Our son's tuition alone is 10,000 a month. The nanny is another 10,000. Can you bear to let our son live a hard life? Don't be so selfish. I thought I would cry, but I actually laughed. When we were in school, I was always at the top of my class. We started this business together, and I wrote the core programs. And now you're looking down on me. So what? Now you're just a housewife. I'm the one who earns all the money in this family. You should calm down and think this through. You're a smart person. Gu Jinglin finished speaking and left without looking back. Seeing that things were exposed, he couldn't even bother to pretend anymore. It must have been exhausting for him to play the good husband and good father at home all this time. Gu Jinglin's reaction was something I hadn't anticipated. Otherwise I wouldn't have had to feign ignorance for so long. It's time to leave. Just as I was about to pack my luggage, Su Qingqian sent a WeChat message. Lin Wanyu, aren't you supposed to be so high and mighty? Even your husband doesn't love you anymore. Are you still clinging to the title of Mrs. Gu and refusing to leave? Lin Wanyu, you really have no shame. Just relying on a man to support you. Do you even know that your husband only gives you living expenses every month? And where all the other money goes? Did you like the bracelet for your anniversary? Sister, I picked it out for you myself. A screenshot of a PDD 9.9 free shipping deal was sent over. Just because I went to celebrate my sister's anniversary, he compensated me with a 100,000 yuan bracelet. Oh. She's getting anxious. She's hopping mad. She was impatient to get me to leave on my own. I originally didn't want to reply, but I remembered the lawyer saying that the recording I secretly made of those two adulterers' voices involved privacy, which might affect the validity of the evidence. It would be best to supplement it with some other evidence. So what? He won't divorce me. You'll always be a mistress who can't be brought out into the open. Who doesn't know you're playing the game of playing hard to get? Knowing your husband cheated and still unwilling to divorce. What makes you think you're so great? Isn't it just because you can't support yourself? You're nothing but a gilded cage bird. Gu Jinglin. He says he still loves me. We went from campus to society together. I helped him start his business. And we have a son. He's just playing around with you. Perhaps the words playing around stung her. Because after a moment of silence, she sent some explosive information. Do you want to see where the man who loves you deeply is right now? A photo of two naked people was sent over. Even on your anniversary, your husband has to sleep with me. Afraid that she hadn't shown off enough, Su Qingqian sent another video of the house. That was a villa, and it looked even bigger than the house we lived in. This is also Jinglin's home. And the house is under my name. He comes back from work with me every day. And in the eyes of the neighbors, I am Mrs. Gu. How could he not love me? Su Qingqian. Ha ha. Do you think these things will hurt me now? Thank you. I forwarded it with satisfaction in one click. Attorney Chen. Is this enough? Ms. Lin. The evidence of infidelity is sufficient. You can also sue Su Qingqian for the return of the joint property of the couple. After putting down my phone, I called the nanny and gave her a few days off. I went to coax my son to sleep. Usually, he would make a fuss and ask me to read picture books before going to bed. But today he was exceptionally well behaved. He fell asleep holding my hand, gripping it tightly. Before bed, he hugged me and said, "Mom, little dumpling's mom hasn't come home in a long time. If you're going to leave, can you take me with you? Don't leave me behind." It turns out he understood everything at the age of 5, the child I risked my life to bring into this world. How could I possibly abandon them? After the child fell asleep, I began packing my luggage. I don't care much for dressing up, so I didn't have many things. And I packed quickly. I didn't bring too much of my son's things either. We can always buy more later. Taking too little at once might alert Gu Jinglin when he returns and cause him to stop us from leaving. While Gu Jinglin was still out, I put my luggage in the car. Soon, I realized I was overthinking things. Gu Jinglin, who always came home before 12, didn't come back today. I lay next to my son, unable to sleep, until just now. I thought Gu Jinglin would try to win me back. It turns out all his kindness towards me was conditional on my being well behaved. Fool that I am. Priding myself on my intelligence. I'm only realizing this now. This man doesn't love me. I just happened to meet all the requirements for his ideal wife. Screw you. I'm afraid you don't really know the real me. At 6 a.m. My son woke up without me even calling him. I placed the divorce agreement on the table, turned my head for one last look at our home, and took my son out the door. All day, I was busy changing kindergartens for my son, renting a house, and buying daily necessities. It wasn't until evening that I finally had some free time. Gu Jinglin's call finally came. It seemed he had just gotten home. I muted my phone and ignored it. After a dozen or so calls and still no answer from me, he finally gave up. Lin Wanyu, there's a limit to how far you can take a tantrum. I've already told you. I won't divorce you. I'll take care of you for the rest of your life. What more do you want? I'm giving you 24 hours. If I don't see you by then, I'll cancel your credit cards. And I won't transfer any more living expenses to you. I never imagined this man could be so shameless. I made a lot of preparations for this day. Although at the time it was only to obtain custody. Now he can't stop his card. And am not stumped anymore. A month later. Gu Jinglin called again. I guess he must have received the court summons. This time I answered the phone. After all, he is the father of my child and gave me 6 years of carefree life. Maybe I should give him one last chance. Of course. Not a chance to reconcile. I think maybe I shouldn't push him to the brink. Lin Wanyu, you've really grown some wings. You can even take your acting to court. The living expenses in your card should be running out soon. Right. You came back today, and I'll transfer the money to you today. I'll also open up the credit card permissions for you. I covered the receiver. Not wanting to hear a single word of such shameless remarks. Gu Jinglin, do you still think I can't bear to leave you even now? Or what? You stay at home, eating and drinking well, while I earn money to support you and our son. Without me, how would you and our son live? Don't blame me for not reminding you. If you really want a divorce, you, as a full-time housewife, won't get custody. I sneered inwardly, enduring the disgust to finish speaking. Did you call just to threaten me again? I'm calling you today to formally tell you that there's no possibility for us anymore. If you still have any feelings for me at all, let's sit down and discuss the divorce. Go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to complete the procedures. And I'll withdraw the lawsuit. Gu Jinglin seemed to have heard something funny and laughed mockingly. Lin Wanyu, you really are only capable of this. I'm warning you for the last time. If you come back now, I can still pretend nothing happened. If you insist on going to court with such recklessness, you'll lose me and our son. The phone hung up as soon as the words left my mouth. Looks like my words infuriated him, having been the boss for so long. He can't stand even the slightest dissenting voice. Then you, as the boss, might as well quit. At that moment, I hadn't yet realized how much I had underestimated Gu Jinglin's unscrupulousness. When the nanny went to pick up Hanyu in the afternoon, the teacher said that Hanyu had already been picked up by his father. When I went to pick up Hanyu, I don't know what Gu Jinglin said to him, but Hanyu refused to leave with me. Mom, I want to be with Dad. You should leave. Hearing Hanyu's words, I finally lost control, and tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. Hanyu, didn't you say you wouldn't let Mom leave you behind? If it weren't for Hanyu, why would I have schemed so much? Taking revenge on Gu Jinglin might bring momentary satisfaction, but I would mostly hate myself for being blind. For not seeing Gu Jinglin's true colors sooner. After Gu Jinglin's affair, I resisted the urge to leave immediately because I wanted to legally obtain custody of Hanyu and get enough of the property that belonged to me to ensure Hanyu's well-being. Lin Wanyu, you can stay. I said, if you come back before the court hearing, I can pretend nothing happened. I'm giving you this chance. No, Mom has to leave. She abandoned you first. Hanyu's words stunned me. I wiped away my tears and left without looking back. On the day of the court hearing, as soon as I entered the courtroom, I saw Gu Jinglin and his lawyer already sitting there. full of confidence. Seeing me come in, Gu Jinglin said regretfully, "Lin Wanyu. You don't want the opportunity I'm giving you. Don't regret it later." Attorney Chen patted me and told me to sit down. In the end, I said nothing. Before the hearing, Attorney Chen had already prepared me mentally. "Ms. Lin, you need to be mentally prepared. Divorce lawsuits are like this. The people who were once closest to you will stab you in the heart the hardest. And as the person involved, he won't speak entirely according to the evidence. He'll twist the truth to the point where he believes he's the one at fault." Reaching the courtroom stage, you might witness the most malicious side of human nature. But please believe me, your evidence is substantial. Don't let him disturb your peace of mind and throw you into disarray. To gain custody, it's crucial for a mother to demonstrate emotional stability. Even so, I couldn't help but tremble when I later heard what the lawyer, Wang, hired by Gu Jinglin, had to say. First, there was no breakdown of affection between the two parties. For the 7 years after the marriage, the plaintiff, Lin Wanyu, stayed at home to take care of the child, while the defendant, Gu Jinglin, built his business from scratch, bearing the entire pressure of supporting the family and facing immense work pressure. Lin Wanyu, feeling unproductive herself, imposed the pressure onto the child, the defendant. In order to bear the high educational expenses and family expenses paid by Lin Wanyu, worked long hours to support the family. After the plaintiff and defendant's son, Gu Hanyu, started school, Lin Wanyu had nothing to do, which led to her becoming paranoid and suspecting the defendant of cheating, stemming from her own emotional and mental issues. The plaintiff suspected the defendant of having an affair with his secretary. But it is normal for the defendant to have contact and close interactions with his secretary. Despite the plaintiff's repeated unreasonable behavior stemming from suspicions of the defendant's infidelity, the defendant still expressed that both parties had walked from campus into society together, sharing a deep emotional foundation, and would not divorce the plaintiff. Secondly, the plaintiff, without any evidence, disregarded the adverse effects on the child and immediately took the child away from home, which already proves the plaintiff's emotional instability. Thirdly, regarding custody, the plaintiff has no source of income, is emotionally unstable, and has a negative impact on the child's development. Moreover, the plaintiff and defendant's son, Gu Hanyu, himself is willing to live with his father, Attorney Chen, perhaps fearing that I would immediately fly into a rage, patted my arm several times during the process. I really wanted to jump up and refute them immediately, but that would play right into their hands. Attorney Chen began to present evidence, producing office recordings and WeChat chat logs sent by Su Qingjian, causing Gu Jinglin and Attorney Wang to change their expressions slightly. Then, Attorney Chen presented the financial records of my self-media account, and Gu Jinglin panicked. Not expecting that I actually had an income, Attorney Wang was still trying to deny our evidence. But the court is not a place for quibbling, and our chain of evidence is impeccable. After Gu Jinglin and Attorney Wang whispered to each other, Attorney Wang said to the court, "We ask the court to fully consider Gu Hanyu's opinion. Although Gu Hanyu is only 5.5 years old, he is quite mature and able to fully express his opinions. Gu Hanyu is currently outside the courtroom. He can come in and speak for himself." The judge granted Attorney Wang's request. Since his birth, Hanyu has never left my side. I really miss him. After seeing Hanyu, I really wanted to go over and hug him. He's still so young. I wonder if he'll be scared standing in court. The judge was about my age and probably had children of her own. She spoke gently to my son, Gu Hanyu. "You don't need to be afraid. Auntie just wants to ask you a few questions. Just tell me what you really think." To my surprise, Hanyu wasn't scared at all. He turned to the judge and said, "Okay, Auntie, ask away. If your father and mother separate, who do you want to live with? Your father or your mother? And why?" "No matter who you live with, The other party can still see you. Gu Jinglin looked at me triumphantly. He knew that my son was the most important thing to me. Controlling my son was controlling me. Hanyu glanced at Gu Jinglin, then at me, and said to the judge, "I want to be with my mommy." Disbelief flickered in Gu Jinglin's eyes. I wasn't surprised. I knew this outcome all along. Hanyu could never have said those things that day. He's my son. And I've always taught him to distinguish right from wrong. Even if he didn't want to be separated from his dad, he wouldn't tell me to leave. Not long after I left that day, I received a voice message from Hanyu through his watch. "Mom, don't be sad. They'll come find you soon," Hanyu said. Looking at Gu Jinglin, "I'm sorry, Dad. Even though you have more money, even though you say you'll give me all your houses abroad in the future, I don't want that much money. You and Mom aren't divorced yet. And Aunt Sue is already coming to our house. She's so mean to me. I'm afraid she'll treat me badly in the future. Mom only has me. I can't leave her. Just let Aunt Sue stay with you." Gu Jinglin's face changed instantly, and he began to rant hysterically. "Judge, you can't take what a child says seriously. Hanyu, tell me, who taught you to say such things?" The judge banged the gavel heavily, silencing him. Taking advantage of the moment, Attorney Chen submitted the investigation and evidence collection application he had prepared in advance. "Your Honor, due to the defendant's suspected transfer of marital property, the plaintiff requests to examine the bank statements of the accounts under the defendant's name and the accounts under the defendant's company." Unsurprisingly, the judge granted our request. Gu Jinglin slumped into the chair, the light in his eyes completely extinguished. After the adjournment, Gu Jinglin stopped my son and me, but this time he was without his former arrogance. "Wan Yu, we've been together for 10 years. How many decades does one have in a lifetime? Even marriages have a 7-year itch. But I truly only love you. I only asked Su Qingqian to come home and help take care of Hanyu. I never intended to divorce you. I transferred assets and spoke ill of you only to prevent you from getting custody of Hanyu and to make you give up on divorcing me. Wan Yu, I can't divorce you. I just made some mistakes, but my feelings for you have never changed. I promise you. They'll fire Su Qingqian right now. I won't have anything to do with her ever again." Before I could speak, Attorney Chen, who had been about to leave, turned back around upon hearing the scumbag's words. "Gu Jinglin, I didn't want to get involved in matters unrelated to the law, but you're really going too far. I've seen too many divorcing couples who came together for various reasons, but the reason they end up in court hurling insults at each other always boils down to one thing. They're no longer in love. If you loved her, how could you bear to attack her with such language in court? Have you considered how much damage that causes? This isn't just a domestic quarrel. You're essentially stripping naked for everyone to see. If you weren't at a disadvantage right now, would you even be apologizing?" I understand Attorney Chen's good intentions. When he initially took on the case, he helped me clarify my true feelings. He said he'd seen too many women who wanted a divorce ultimately hesitate, waver, and finally choose to compromise and endure. He said he didn't think this choice was right. He said if the divorce was for happiness, then he supported it. Otherwise, he would feel that his case was unsuccessful. After signing the agency contract, Lawyer Chen said to me, "Ms. Lin, you have the ability to be beautiful on your own. You deserve better." I said to Lawyer Chen gratefully, "Lawyer Chen, thank you. I have a few words I'd like to say to him alone. Could you please take my son to the car first?" I said to Gu Jinglin, 10 years is a long time, but it's worth it to see a person clearly in 10 years. Gu Jinglin, from the very beginning, you chose to find every possible way to manipulate me, even when you made mistakes. You chose to make things difficult for me instead of yourself. Now that you can't manipulate me anymore, you want to salvage things, even if it wasn't what Attorney Chen said today. Do you think I would have reconciled with you? Just because of our 10 years together. Can we please not make this breakup so ugly? My son is waiting for me. I turned to leave. Wan Yu. Gu Jinglin grabbed my hand. I turned and stood still, taking one last look at him, my gaze shifting from him to the hand that held me, resolute and firm. Gu Jinglin murmured softly. Gone. Everything is gone. The hand eventually released. After obtaining the evidence, Attorney Chen notified me immediately. The unexpected surprise was that the documents in the file not only contained evidence of purchasing real estate abroad, but also every expense Gu Jinglin had incurred for Sekinkian, M.S. Lin. The lawyer Chen said over the phone. The money Gu Jinglin transferred to Sekinkian's account can be directly sued for return as jointly owned marital property under your name. The villa under her name was paid for from the company account. So we need to sue in the company's name. It might be a bit tricky if the company can't affix its seal, because you're not a registered shareholder of the company, so you can't file a shareholder derivative lawsuit. Of course, it's not entirely without a solution. But we might have to wait until the division of marital property is complete before we can handle it. Attorney Chen also mentioned that Gu Jinglin's embezzlement of company property involves criminal liability, which I could pursue. I don't plan to pursue Gu Jinglin's criminal liability. It's not because I still have feelings for him. After all, he's my son's father, and I don't want my son's father to have a criminal record. At the next court session, neither Gu Jinglin nor Attorney Wang appeared. Just before the session began, Li Ping, the company's CFO, arrived with a new attorney. Li Ping explained to the judge that after the previous hearing, Gu Jinglin was dissatisfied with Attorney Wang's disparaging remarks about me in court. They had an argument after the session, which ended with Gu Jinglin beating Attorney Wang and sending him to the hospital. Gu Jinglin is currently under administrative detention for disturbing public order and will not be released until tomorrow, so he cannot attend today's hearing. Gu Jinglin entrusted lawyer Zhang to continue representing the case. Lawyer Zhang stated that Gu Jinglin acknowledged all the evidence collected by the court and voluntarily relinquished custody and all joint marital property. After the court session, Li Ping handed the company seal to me, saying that Gu Jinglin had instructed him to do so. President Lin. President Gu said that once he gets out, he will transfer the company's shareholders and legal representative status to you. Also, we fired Su Qingqian as per President Gu's request. I didn't expect this outcome. Now that we have the company seal, the next step is to settle accounts with Su Qingqian. Because the evidence was sufficient, Attorney Chen handled it fairly smoothly. Of course, I no longer care about what happens next. After all, I have to keep living. I once warmed a frozen little snake with my burning chest, only to be bitten by it. I was hurt, but thankfully, heaven has eyes, and I have the ability to punish the little snake. The harm I suffered may make me afraid to be kind to strangers, but I think one day I will relearn to accept others, because this incident taught me not to close myself off, but to strengthen myself, to always have the ability to challenge. After receiving the judgment, Gu Jinglin did not appeal. Gu Jinglin lost the case completely because of his affair, transferring marital property, and voluntarily giving up his share of the marital property. Gu Jinglin directly sold the properties abroad and transferred the money to my account. Everything calmed down. I successfully returned to the company and started a new career. I used my abilities to persuade President Fu and led the development of the AI project for both parties. The project's launch event felt like an industry gala, and my personal media account live-streamed the entire thing. I stood on the stage, radiant and gleaming, just as I was about to cut the ribbon with President Fu. A scream erupted from the crowd. Su Qingqian lunged forward, shouting, "Lin Wanyu, why are you trying to completely destroy me?" I turned around, only to see Gu Jinglin collapsing. A knife plunged into his chest. The security guard subdued Su Qingqian, who was still yelling, "Gu Jinglin, you played me. Even now, you're still protecting her. I stayed with you for 5 years, and you've left me with nothing. You even send out blacklisting letters to all your peers. If I'm not having a good time, none of you will either. The scene was chaotic. I held Gu Jinglin's head in my arms, tears falling. Why did you do this, Wan Yu? You still love me, right? I just want you to be with me forever. My mom was rich, more capable than my dad, and she left me and my dad. I thought if she didn't have money, she wouldn't leave us. I didn't dare give you money. I didn't dare put your name on the shareholder list. I was afraid you would leave me like my mom did. Wan Yu, do you remember when I proposed to you at graduation? What I said? I want to be with you for a lifetime. I want us to be able to support each other, even when we're old and gray, and stroll down the street together. I meant everything I said. Everything. I was wrong. I'll give you my life to make up for it. Gu Jinglin ultimately breathed his last in my arms, the day Su Qingqian was sentenced to death. I went to the cemetery to visit Gu Jinglin. Gu Jinglin, I wish you happiness in your next life, the right way.